This episode of St James's Pod is brought to you by Total Supplements. Visit their website totalsupplements.co to discover their range of nutritionist-tested supplements, gummies, shakes and natural extracts. From popular sports supplements like whey protein, creatine, vitamin tablets and powders to mental health supplements such as nootropics and mushrooms, they've got you totally covered. They also have men's health collection offering testosterone support and beauty supplements to keep you looking like your absolute best. I personally use Total Supplements products and I have been using them from before they came on board to sponsor the podcast. So I'm hugely excited to be partnering with a brand that I know and love. So whether you train hard, work hard, or take an active interest in your overall health, use our code stjames'pod, that's stjamespod, for 25% off your entire order. The link's in the description. Support the podcast and visit totalsupplements.co now and tell them St James's Pod sent you. And we're back, and Newcastle United are back on winning ways as they've destroyed Fulham 3-0. We'll be getting into that game. First things first, though, let's just check in with Tom and Dos. How are you feeling after we've obviously gone through the lows of going out of Europe, and now we're back on winning ways in the Premier League?
Yeah, proper. Well, yeah, I know I was being a little bit Debbie Downer the other day. On things, and in the preview for the Milan game obviously didn't turn out the way that we wanted it to, but it was all important that we bounced back immediately. And yeah, the Fulham game, albeit a big help from Raul Jimenez, like we bounced back strong and got a fantastic result.
I'm not quite on that. Like, I'm still not over Milan yet. I'm still not over what happened, but it is nice. Like, following like ridiculous form, as we mentioned. We had a few players coming back. We had a few more people go off injured, but a nice solid win. Get back on winning ways, and a nice cup game to look forward to tomorrow against Chelsea. So that's the one. Like, for me, like, like whatever can happen at Fulham, Luton, whatever. I really want to get in that semi-final now, like beat Chelsea, get in the next round, and yeah, take another run at another cup, since we're down to just the domestic ones now.
Yeah, obviously we're probably looking to be one of the favourites in the Carabao, but I did see actually Pochettino was saying they're going to be taking it very seriously, probably because they've got nothing to play for in the league, really. But yeah, Tom, you were just saying, obviously I've just got up, but you were saying the draw for the Champions League has been made. So we know if things had gone differently, I don't know why we're doing this to ourselves, but yeah.
It's a killer.
The opponents we would have had.
Yeah, we've had in the Champions League would have been Sociedad, which yeah, that would have been a game that you would kind of hope that we would compete in. And obviously there's the Isaac connection, like we bought them from them as well. Like it could have been a real decent game for us to potentially over two legs get even further again. So yeah, obviously
and up in the Basque Country as well.
Oh, exactly.
That's what I'm most got about.
Yeah, the little tapas and stuff that we could have been sampling, which, yeah, not to be, but yeah, Paris obviously getting that draw instead. And then I think, Dawson, you said the Europa League draw, if we were to have dropped into that, would have been against a French team, was it?
Rennes, yeah.
Rennes, yeah.
So that's who Milan have got in the next round.
Yeah, so again, I mean, from what I know of Rennes, like, decent enough team, but another one that I wouldn't fear too much. So it's one of them. Like, obviously, had we gone through different, like, could have been a completely different draw, whatever, like, that could have panned out. But yeah, it's just annoying looking at how it actually has fallen for these teams, and yeah, we're not included. So yeah, we just we've got to bounce back into one of those competitions for me at the end of this season, because now that we've had the taste of Europe, I don't want to go back to not having some form of European football. It was another night under the lights at St James's for me, that Milan game, which was just, atmosphere wise, it was tense. It was nerve wracking, whatever you want to call it, but it was still special being there for a big Champions League night against another big club in Milan. So I just don't want us to not have those moments again for a while. Just puts more emphasis on getting our league form back under control, which we did just that against Fulham.
I'm with you on that one. Give us any kind of European football next season. I don't care if we don't. Well, obviously, I'd prefer to qualify for the Champions League, but if we don't, I'll take the Europa League. If we don't get that, I'll take the Conference League. Genuinely, I'd take going to fucking Bosnia or whatever Pete would say. But honestly, I'm all here for it. 2 games a week. Get me to St James's Park once a week now. Happy days. Aye, get her back. And obviously, as I said, Fulham's put her back on track in the league. We went above Man U again, who put another shocking performance in. So, we're on the straight and narrow. Get someone at Kenilworth Road. Big game on Boxing Day at Humpton Forest, and then we're laughing.
Yeah, got a couple of on paper nicer fixtures, haven't we? So hopefully the Carabao goes our way, and then the Premier League form carries on after this Fulham game, and then everything's looking really positive. But just quickly before we move on from the Champions League, obviously with that draw there, it just made me think how he's feeling now after digesting it a bit about the way we kind of attacked the game at 1-1, because obviously I was fuming that, not that we tried to go for the win, but more just that we went that hard that our centre back was in their box. I get going for the win, but there's a way to go for the win when you've actually got something to preserve. Fair enough, if we didn't have that of falling back in Europa League, then go for it. But now I've calmed down a little bit, and I'm kind of I understand the comments from Eddie where he's saying I don't want to take it out of my players. I sent them out there to win, and that's what they're trying to do. But I'm gutted that we don't have that Europa League game. But at the same time, I'm I understand why a bit more now. What about yourselves?
Yeah, I was fuming in the ground, and that was because I believed still that Paris were 2-1 up, and I was thinking, at that point, if Paris were 2-1 up, the game was or the Champions League place was away from us, so why were we pressing so much to try and win the game in the hope, obviously, that Dortmund would equalise? That was where my head was, because in the ground, they flashed up on the scoreboard that Paris had gone 2-1 up, but they didn't, or at least I didn't see them put up that it had been disallowed, and people around us were a bit confused. So then when I seen Fabian Schär making that run, I was like, what are you doing? I was with you. Even now, knowing that it was 1-1 and that we were going for the winner that would have put us above Paris, still felt like it was naive of us to throw that many into the box at that point. And we just completely left ourselves short at the back. I know, Dorsey, you were saying afterwards that you were more annoyed with our response to trying to get back at the Milan players who were attacking, which wasn't great either.
Which is a good point, really.
In the ground, obviously from the corner, you cannot see the scoreboard. So we were getting, there's some lads in front of her who was getting signal. so they were getting the scores like straight through. And so we knew it was 1-1 at the time in the Paris game. But yeah, as you're saying, like, Shaw does what Shaw wants to do. Like, you go on these wonders up the field, and generally it won't cost her. Like, it was a matter of time before it did, because like he does what in every couple, well, probably a couple of times a game actually. I know what you're saying about throwing men forward too much, but I don't think we're going so gung-ho that we're left with ourselves really short at the back. We still had players left at the back. Like,
Yeah.
And that it's, as you're saying, it's when Bruno and Isak came together to make a challenge, and it was a bit of a half attempt. The amount of times in that second half, as soon as we went on the break, chop down, cynical challenge, like clearest yellow card going. Must have happened 2 or 3 times at least. Maybe once or twice, which didn't get a boot in. Like, they just try to stop with, like, constantly. That's where Milan are showing their experience of being in like the Champions League every season. It's like when Italy played England in the final. Italy were very clever in the way that they knew how to play that tournament football, like that cleverness. Take them down. When he's running between 2 of your players. Yeah, to be fair, Bruno, I think he needed one more yellow card to miss the first leg of the knockout if he got through, for example.
Yeah.
Well, look where we are now. We're not in any competition, so it doesn't fucking matter. Isak, he came on in the second half. He's an attacker. He doesn't get many yellow cards. Just stick a fucking leg out, take him down. And even then, I think it was like 3-on-3 at the time or something like that. Byrne needs to pass his man on and then cover. Well, he was in the centre covering, I think it was Lascelles' man. He needs to push over on his own man. You give him too much space and give him a free shot at the goal. So there's a lot of things that happened from Shaw losing the ball. You can't just put it on Shaw because like so many events happened after that like I think as a collective there's probably like half the team that's responsible for that goal, and it was naive. It was dumb. But yeah, I'll hand over to you, Paige.
Yeah, no, I think it was just perfectly summed up. Just really, I mean, Milan obviously had that opportunity before where they hit the post, which I was shocked that Leao hit the post when he was through on goal like that.
Should have been an eye opener, shouldn't it, though?
He should have, yeah, because that was like only minutes or so before, from what I can remember. Like, it was just again him clean through. Like, they were just looking for that counter-attacking moment for most of the game, really. And yeah, that I thought it was a bit of a shock and miss, really, to hit the post from there. But yeah, it was annoying. Obviously, I'm still shocked that they didn't manage to add at least a third, arguably a fourth goal towards the end. Like, it was absolutely ridiculous how they didn't capitalise on it. But yeah, just a shame, really, because it was there. At least if we said before we would have took a point. Like, I think, yeah, some of us predicted a win, fair enough, but I think, did you, Sam, predict a draw? I think you predicted a 1-1. Yeah, which I thought, we could have just sat on that, but because I haven't really watched any of the Paris highlights back to see whether or not they actually did get any closer to finding a winner. But yeah, knowing that they had scored away from home at Dortmund was always like that was the thing. Like, we weren't sure how well they were going to turn up in that game, and they obviously scored, and they had one disallowed to go ahead, so they were well matched, well into it with Dortmund. And yeah, I think if Eddie had just sort of, I know it's not his mentality to just accept a draw at any point if he can go for it, but hopefully that's something in the future, maybe for another European campaign, if it ever comes down to those sort of moments again, that we just know kind of when to hold, when to twist. Like,
I'll eat John Barnes and do it at the right time.
you know. But yeah, that's just annoying. It's annoying because it was there for us, but it's a learning experience. And again, like we said all along, we're very early in like our journey, and no one expected us to, one, be in the Champions League this season, two, compete at the way that we did. We'll take that away, and yeah, even if it's not Champions League next season and it's Europa League, it's still experience from this season that we'll use for the how we need to be cleverer with the referees, like, and take those cynical challenges when we need to, and other things. But like, yeah, we know we've got enough of a team to compete on the European stage, like, hands down.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
funny. I seen a stat the other day. It was like, well, it's not a stat. Well, in the first two games, obviously we got 4 points. Tonali started both them games. We obviously got 1 point in the 4 games after that when he didn't. Like, such a big money signing. Like, came in, looked very good, got that Champions League experience, and like, how like, I'm not saying like the players that came in done a bad job, because Miley done a fucking fantastic job considering how much first team minutes he's had, and like coming in as a 17-year-old, going to Paris and stuff like that, having a cracking game. But like, Tonali would have helped in those games. You can't say he wouldn't have. So you just like, you can't help but think, what if, like, if he didn't have that ban, like, could we be talking about who we're facing in the next round now?
Tonali was completely wiping out Chukwueze, if that was Tonali's.
Right.
Like, he's completely wiping him out. Like, and that's the thing, because he got the semi-final.
He knows like the back of his hand as well.
Yeah, he knows them. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he'll be. I imagine he was probably just as gutted as everybody that he couldn't have been playing against them, and sat in the stands or wherever, like, he was, but like, thinking that he could have been a big player in that game. But yeah, obviously we know he'll come back, or hopefully come back stronger next year.
Sat in the bookies watching his accumulator coming in.
I can see you smirking away there. You got something betting in mind.
Well, yeah, I mean, just to wrap up on the Champions League, obviously, all in all, like, a great experience for us as fans. Great experience for the lads as well, which it will stand them in good stead going forward, and Eddie Howe. And yeah, like, hopefully that sort of experience pays off dividends straight away in the domestic cups this season. But like, obviously, when we got that group, I think all three of us said like we were happy with that group, because obviously the teams we got to play, even though it was the group of death, what an experience it would be. And I feel like we covered ourselves, like, not in glory, but we definitely gave a good account of ourselves, and yeah, couldn't ask anything more, especially in context of all the injuries and the suspensions and everything like that. So yeah, all in all, I think it's obviously, it's tough, it's disappointing, but it is an positive. So yeah, let's talk about how well they did to bounce back from that, though, like mentally as well as physically, going into that Fulham game. And Fulham, like we said in the preview, they were on a great run, great bit of form, scoring goals for fun. And we struggled a little bit in that first half. We had like majority of possession, but we were struggling to really find an opening. What were your thoughts at half time?
Well, what I was thinking was, how's Iwobi not scored when he had that 1-on-1? Like, there weren't that many chances. To be honest, the amount of people in the stands that were saying, fuck me, this is a terrible watch, like, because it was poor from both sides. Like, they almost caught on the break a few times, but we just couldn't break them down, and it didn't look like we were going to break them down, despite Jimenez being sent off after the 22 minutes, was it? Yeah, it was a poor show for that first half, and I'm glad it perked up, because I think that would have been a tough watch if we went out in the same way. And to be fair, it was kind of enforced in a way, with Joe Linton going off and Kraft coming on as well for Shaw. So there's a few enforced changes, but we came out second half with intent, and it's strange. Like they didn't seem to have half as many chances in that second half. They seemed to catch on the break a few times, and I guess like once we had that goal, we didn't need to leave ourselves as open, and it was a very, very comfortable half for me. What was it like with you, Paige? Was it about the same at half time? Was people a bit tetchy, nervous?
I didn't
What was
make
the
that
feeling?
one. No, but from what my dad was saying, yeah,
Mhm.
it was definitely that kind of game where people were just getting a bit, frustrated, like, and I think again it was always going to be hard trying to lift up the crowd a little bit. Obviously, still feeling the effects of the midweek game. So I think from
What
what he
did
was
we say?
saying,
We said on the pod, there's a good
it's
chance of the atmosphere being a bit flat.
yeah, and from what I could tell from watching at home, like it was definitely sounded flatter than it normally would be. And it's rare because we rarely get a 3 o'clock Saturday kickoff these days because we're massive and we're always on telly. But you normally those are the games that you like you'd like to think everybody's like well up for those ones. And yeah, it did seem just a little flat, but the sending off low. I'll just sort of loop round to that. Obviously,
Everybody was
I'd
going for fighting. Yeah.
well, I'd love to know what you and like everybody around you thought, because I mean, watching it, yeah, obviously in real time and stuff. I think I'd have been like the referee at first, yellow card. Like, he's just, trying to close him down. Like, I'm not sure why he jumped because the ball was never like up in the air for him to like even need to jump in and block it or anything. But I didn't think at first red card, but yeah, watching the replays back and stuff like that, he's completely out of control. And like, yeah, obviously for a player who's had a serious head injury as well, like the way he clatters into Longstaff, like, and Longstaff's head whips back and stuff, you think, fucking hell, yeah, Longstaff could have been like landed awkwardly himself off the back of it. So yeah, I think, I don't know. I'm more interested to hear what everybody in the ground thought at first, because did seem at first thought that the referee probably got the yellow card was right until the VAR stepped in.
See, like it seemed to be the opposite way around in the stadium. Obviously, like home stadium being biased, but like where we were from, he comes fucking flying in, and you can see he is like well off the ground. And what we didn't see, well, what I couldn't see anyways, is him pulling out. You can just see him like diving in. His stud's almost high, and then he makes a connection and takes him out. But in the lead up to that, obviously, you'd had that incident with Lascelles.
Yeah.
So he was down for a long time. Like Lascelles, obviously, he's not even looking where he is. He's just sticking his arms out as he does when he jumps, and he's caught him a little bit on the chin. The calls of a red card are fucking ludicrous. Otherwise, like players would be sent off every game for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we carried on, and we carried on the attack, and then it went out. But even then, what I specifically noticed was like it didn't get up the full time. I don't know if they wanted us to put the ball out for like a throw-in or something like that. But even when the ball went out of play in the end and the referee stopped it, their coaches, their physios, weren't even on the sideline ready to come on. So you knew it wasn't a bad injury. You knew he was staying down just for the hell of staying down. There was none of their players warming up to come on for him, like when our players went down. And the other physios weren't even on the sideline. So when the referee like turns over to wave them on, they're still sitting in the dugout. So that's when you know he's absolutely fucking fine. But he was fucking raging over it still. And obviously 10 minutes later, he goes and does that. You can tell he just completely fucking lost his head. And yeah, from where I was, it looked like he was out of fucking control. And obviously look back at the replays, like, what's he playing at, like?
Yeah.
Just like madness. And it done him a massive favour, so...
Yeah, I was a little bit worried at the time, though, like, thinking back to the Liverpool game and stuff. We'd already been struggling. I was like, they're just going to, like, park the bus now. We're going to struggle even more to break them down. But obviously it went into the second half before that. But just looking back round to the substitution when Cher gets injured. What did you make of that at the time? Because obviously Kraft comes on and they do the reshuffle, and Kraft has like a brilliant game. But at the time, I was assuming that Hall was coming on. Byrne would go to centre back. So when Kraft was coming on, I was a bit like, to be honest, I didn't even realise at first he was going to go right back. I thought, oh shit, he's coming on centre half, like left-sided centre half. I was like, this doesn't seem great. But yeah, it was quite a clever one actually. When like looking back now in hindsight,
that's why Eddie's manager and we're not. Well, like, I did mention him on the last one coming in for maybe the Chelsea game, like as like another option, especially if Lewis Hall couldn't play through being ineligible, which has turned out that Chelsea are letting him play for some reason.
I didn't know that.
There were comments.
That's nice.
I also that just came out in the press list today. I think that he can actually play, but I think it was Eddie Howe that alluded to the fact that the obligation to buy Lewis Hall, it had like some terms, and that may be why he hasn't been starting games, and maybe to do with like he's got to like appear in maybe like 10 or 15 league appearances or something like that to make it become permanent. So that's why we've been so reluctant to play him like at all. Obviously, the fans have been calling like, "Oh, we're getting this player in," stuff like that, and we've never played him. There's got to be some reason Eddie mustn't like him, and he's sort of like, he didn't go into it that much, but he almost like said like, it's an obligation if he plays like maybe a very, very low amount of games. So that's why it was expected that it was a loan that was just going to go through.
I did see some reporters saying after that press conference though that they clarified afterwards that he will be a Newcastle United player next season, and then he did come on. Eventually, didn't he?
It's so just a strange comment to make.
Yeah, I think watching the press conference, he got asked directly about it, and he turns to, I don't know what that guy is who like choreographs the pressers, but he turns to him, which he normally turns to if it's like, you know, like when Tonali was going through the stages and like Eddie didn't quite know his facts or whatever. I think if he feels he doesn't 100% know what the contract situation is or something like that, he doesn't want to speak like ill-informed. I think that was what happened, and then the guy said, "We'll get back to you." But there was obviously that theory flying around beforehand, like, and it does make sense, but I think it's probably been blown out of proportion a little bit just because he didn't answer the question directly.
Right.
But I mean, I guess we'll see, because he didn't do anything wrong necessarily when he came on, but like, it was tough because it was in the game, but Kraft came on and looked superb, and Hall kind of just was a bit like, oh, he looks all right. So
yeah, I think
I'll let you go.
No, I was just gonna say, like, we know Hall is still young, like, and I know we've hit on some of like the Livramentos and the Mileys who have just come in and just been amazing, and they're still young. But like, I think we have to, as a fan base, just remember that not every young player is immediately ready. Like, some do need that extra few games, that extra like learning experience. He barely had many games for Chelsea in the seasons running up to this one. He had a couple of standout games, fair enough, but like not enough consistent form for him to think that he's the player to step in every moment. So yeah, I think it would be harsh to completely judge Hall too much, but it's interesting though that theory about the appearances and stuff. I'm trying to rack my brains, but I remember not too long ago that there was a similar situation with a player that was never getting games. I think it was under Rafa. I can't remember the name of the player who we were thinking, why is he not playing him? And it was definitely down to the fact that he had the clause in the contract about playing a certain amount of games. But Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing talks of like 30 million or something if the at the end of the loan. So, I mean, it's not like in the context of things, not a massive amount of money for a young English player to pay. I don't think if that theory is true, I don't think it's one that we're going to necessarily be worried about paying that money for somebody who's he's still got like loads of time to fulfill potential on. So yeah, I'm gonna just hope that nobody gets too carried away with how he's not changing games an awful lot because he is still super young.
Yeah, and you've got to remember as well, he's got the thing of like the big move at a young age as well. I know he's a couple of years older than Miley, but Miley's come through the academy, and then Livramento is a couple of years older than Hall. So, and he's got way more league experience as well than Hall. But Eddie actually did say he's not long converted to left back as well, and that I think he actually specified that he's got some things in his defending game that he wants him to work on. So, I think from what we've seen at Eddie so far, he really needs to trust the player before he throws him in properly, that he's going to be able to complete the plan that Eddie lays out. So I imagine he's probably just not fully trusting of him yet. But I fully expect that to become permanent at the end of the season. And yeah, it'll be interesting though, because like you say, I think it's like 28 million, the agreed fee, which you could argue come the end of the season, maybe there's a position that we could spend that in, maybe a little bit better use for next season. But yeah, like nobody really knows what the circumstances are around the obligation. So yeah, I guess we just wait and see. But yeah, what did his make to Kraft's performance? Because he's come in a couple of times now. Like he played the Man U game at centre half, looked very good, and I thought he looked great coming on at right back.
I mean, when you see how Trippier's made a few mistakes lately, and I'm not for one moment saying that he should be starting over Trippier, but he was extremely solid. And yes, and again, against 10 men, like you might think, oh, it's easy to do, but he didn't put a foot wrong. Like he was so tidy. And obviously, like when he came in, like I think it was last season when Trips was out for a few games, he was really solid then. And you can tell like Eddie speaks really highly of him. We did talk about maybe him being one of the ones that gets moved on in the summer. He's definitely fighting for his place, and he's probably fighting for his Newcastle career at this moment, because yeah, every time I've seen him, he's been nothing but absolutely solid for us. So I was delighted to see him come on and put that kind of performance in. It just gives you a chance of rotation as well for if players are needing a bit of a rest over this busy period. It's still got a long way to go until we're back to one game a week. So yeah, delighted.
Yeah, I mean, he's been much maligned in the Brucey era as being somebody who just looked out of his depth when he first came in from lower reaches of French football. But yeah, just like loads of players under Eddie, he's just been transformed, and he's a model pro. He's an experienced head in the dressing room. I know his contract is up at the end of the season, so the cynic in me might see it as though this upturn in form is just a shop window exercise for him to get a few clubs interested for pre-contract stuff in Jan. Either way, like he's doing what we want from every player. That is, when they come in, they put in a good shift, and he's just a very solid, sort of dependable guy. So yeah, I'm happy to see him performing, and I think he could be in line to get a nod for the Chelsea game in some way, like he did against Man United. Depends on how Eddie wants to shuffle the pack a bit, but he's very much deserving of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see, like you said, he came in for Trippier when Trippier got that foot break, whatever it was, and did great things to keep us up, and then got injured himself, out for like over a year. To sort of see him back and playing back up to that standard, it is great. Whether or not he's with us moving forward remains to be seen, but I don't see why we wouldn't give him a contract just for rotational reasons, squad depth. Obviously, like you say, he's an international footballer. He's only 29. He's not like past it yet. So, yeah, before we move on to Chelsea, though, let's just go over some of the goals, and like we might as well start with Miley. What a goal that was! Like first goal for Newcastle down St James's Park, just rifles it bottom corner. Lovely little goal, wasn't it?
I mean, every player must dream of getting that first goal down at the Gallagher, and yeah, he took that perfectly. It's a similar sort of run that, and I know we were saying about with Longstaff's coming back, whether or not we would have seen Miley drop out and Longstaff playing, and yeah, obviously the injuries and stuff that happened in the game allowed Miley to come in, but he made that like run in the same way that we've seen Longstaff make that kind of run off that like kind of right side, and yeah, obviously well found as well, and yeah, cut back and like yeah, right across the keeper into the far corner. Lovely finish, and just totally deserved, like for a player who's like Dorse mentioned, like he's come in at a difficult time, played absolute blinders against some of the world's best, and now he's a firm fixture now. I think he's going to be in this first team now going forward. I can't see him like dropping back out of it or going out on loan or anything. Like I think Eddie kept him for a reason at the start of the season rather than loaning him out, because he knew that there was something there that he could contribute, and he's more than contributing. He's now chipping in with goals, and like for a 17-year-old, it's crazy. Like he just looks so young. Like you look at him and you're like, he's just this gangly baby faced like assassin now in front of goal. So yeah. No, I was so chuffed to see that he got that goal, and yeah, long may that continue.
I'm sure babyface assassin. I'm sure that's like what a female fighter from Darlington or something like that. Boxer.
Could be, yeah.
Either way, that's where he got it from, anyways. Like you're saying about Eddie, like saying like, oh, I want him like in and around the squad. I don't think even he could have imagined like the impact he's actually had. And obviously, Tonali has probably thrust him into the first team a bit earlier than he might have expected. But do you reckon the way he's playing now and how well he's playing, do you think that might stop us going in the market for a centre midfielder in January now? Whereas if he was like coming in, just playing here and there, not really impacting the game, do you think we might have actually dipped our toes in a bit?
Yeah, no, it's a good shout. I know
because he is good enough, clearly.
Oh, more than capable, like defensively and offensively, like going forward, like passing and finishing. And now that we've seen that goal, like now that we're getting Longstaff back and Bruno and Joelinton are ticking along nicely. I know we haven't got onto it yet, but Bruno had a fantastic game. Long overdue. But he had a fantastic game against Fulham. But yeah, now that we got them like there, Anderson to come back as well as the sort of fifth one, like I think we should always have 5 or 6 if we're going to be playing 3 in midfield that can be there and contribute in that position. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe we are likely to see us just sort of ignore that position in the transfer market for the time being, and
well, he said he wanted 6, didn't he, at the start of the season? So it'll be interesting, because now we're at the Champions League as well. Maybe that leans towards we could get away with 5. Well, we said what an opportunity was going to be for Elliot Anderson when Tonali got suspended, and then obviously it's turned out to be more for Lewis Miley. But I think he's back in January, isn't he? So
maybe we see Anderson being used further forward, like in the wide positions instead, just to give him an option to get into the team that way rather than trying to force it into the centre of midfield, which Miley looks to have
to get
cemented.
forward the rest of now.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, but Barnes should be back around the same time as Anderson as well. So I think it's going to depend if we can get a loan in. If we can get a loan in, we'll probably do it. But I don't know if the club will really see it making much sense to buy a permanent signing.
No, I don't reckon it would be a permanent. But yeah, the loans, like I know or at least I was mentioning, and all the media were thinking Ruben Neves loan deal, whatever it was happening. But like, now the way Dorse has said it there, like I'm less inclined to think that it's worth doing to unsettle like any players in that position who have all been playing well or are starting to regain form in certain cases. So probably better to evaluate other positions, especially with like if Cher's gonna be having more recurring injuries similar to the one that he got in the Fulham game, that we can't go on with just the limited number of centre backs that we've got. But that is a good question, that though, because I think it was definitely on my mind that if Miley wasn't ready to step up or wasn't putting in these performances, then we were crying out for a Tonali replacement. But feels like less so now.
I'll tell you what, that collective sigh from the crowd when Shaw pulled up, like, fuck me.
Yeah, like you hear that on the TV.
Could you? Oh man! Like obviously, he steps out with the ball, goes past one man, takes another step, and just bang, hammy, clear as day. It's like fuck's sake, another one. And then, but thankfully, Botman's coming back, so I've missed him. Like, what a handsome bastard! Like, I was so glad to see him get on the pitch. He obviously got a massive ovation when he came on. Didn't have to do anything too strenuous, but. What a fucking boost he's going to be in the next few weeks. Like, back in time for the derby, back in time for... I think it'll probably be too soon for him to start against Chelsea, but... Yeah, it's brilliant to see him back, like...
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be too soon against Chelsea because when Shaw got injured, you saw Paul Dummett and Kraft going out warming up.
Mm-hmm.
And the TV didn't pick up Botman, so... If he's making sure them two are getting on ahead of Botman, then he's clearly not ready for that many minutes. But it was great to see him come on the end, a little cameo, and he does look like a beast. Like you forget how fucking big he is as well. But let's just quickly rattle through these goals, and then we can get on to the Chelsea game. So Miggy gets the next one, and he's been under a bit of stick recently. Thought he played really well in the second half, which nobody was great in the first half. So, what do you make this performance? Capped off for the goal.
Now what? Like Miggy's been getting a lot of stick lately. Like obviously, like his finishing hasn't been up to standard, and he's a winger, so that's what he's going to be judged on. But like the amount of graft that he does in a game is like ridiculous. And I know, yes, like a sprinter could do fucking graft and not be able to kick a ball. But like the defensive work that he does put in, the amount of times he does like win balls, and he's always helping out his fullback. Like he doesn't get enough credit for that. Like I seen a stat the other day, like he's made 30 more high intensity sprints in the league than the next player. So he's number one by 30. Like the amount he pings around the pitch, and like he got his goal from a yard out. Yes, like against Milan. When it was 0-0, he should have went for the cross with his right foot, which obviously tomorrow he got a cross for. We all know, like, he gets frustrating. Like, he gets to the byline, he cuts back. Like, he's very predictable. There are parts of his attacking game he can definitely improve. But, like, we're relying on him so much at the moment because we don't have another right wing out and put there, really. We can put Gordon out there sometime. then we don't have a left winger. We're so thin on the ground. I don't think like Eddie would choose to start him every game with a fully fit squad. Obviously, Murphy was in great form before he popped his shoulder out a couple of times. I don't see him being a starter in the future for Newcastle, but I think he can still do a great job as a squad player. Like bringing him on when we were leading, like he's perfect for that. Like he'll run all day, he'll do all the defensive duties, and then he can catch teams on the counter. But like relying on him 90 minutes week in week out, yeah, it is a bit too much.
It's just that he's been the only player for it's got to be like 7 or 8 games by now.
Yeah.
So if he was playing like 5 of them, he'd probably be looking way better. But you know what? When you were talking there, you put on that picture of Murphy's brother for his Christmas night out or whatever. He's like dressed up as Jacob. I was thinking, why don't we just give a little backhand and get him in and just like play him as Jacob while we're struggling for.
He's probably playing for Oxford for a reason, and that's probably because he's not good enough to play in the Prem.
Let's not get ourselves some point deduction as well for playing ineligible players.
I'd definitely still prefer him to come on right wing than Matt Ritchie at the moment because he offers nothing these days.
Exactly.
Oh, honestly, Matt Ritchie just like he's like bringing on the kit man. Like he's just there. He's just there for banter.
Harsh, very harsh.
No.
He's still got some decent ball on that, like, but I seen him. He was absolutely fuming with somebody. I'm like, "How Richie, man? You should just be happy to be on the pitch."
he's an angry man.
His mentality's good, like, but
of course, yeah.
It's just
the reason why he's still at the club.
Yeah. He'll be part of the coaching staff. I feel like in the like end of the season, or I don't imagine he'll carry on playing for too much longer. But yeah.
So let's talk about Dan Burns' goal because he's come back in, and like you were saying before, Tom, Bruno's. It's got to be one of the best games he's had all season. Like he was just dictating everything, and like there was a few passes he played a little bit long or whatever, but they were like the vision to see the pass in the first place, even for those ones. And then that assist was just ridiculous outside the boot. You didn't even see that pass on, and then it was just perfect outside the boot. And then Dan Burn really does everything right, and the keeper makes a great save. And then we get a bit lucky with the ricochet and goes off his pods and in, but I've scored goals like that for Fordley, so you take them.
Not if your pods.
Yeah. Well, his arse was out, wasn't it? Dan Burns, like it was in the celebrations. You see Wilson coming over and like hiking up his shorts because the keeper had pulled them down as he was trying to stop them. But
I think Wilson kind of helped them down. To be honest,
he was trying to stride him in front of the Gallagher.
I think he kind of did, but then he pulled them back up again.
Yeah,
we realised that it's not safe for Premier League TV.
No, and Leno just had a face full of Dan Burns' crotch. But no, Bruno, like, I think, I've been a little critical of him recently just because as much as, he can ping, and he has pinged a few, like, fantastic passes. He did so in the Milan game, but his overall performance was not what we'd kind of hoped for, and he's had a lot of games like that this season where it's just... And I just, again, could just be down to the fatigue and, can't quite put my finger on it. I know at the start of the season we were sort of thinking, was he getting outshined by Tonali and he was getting a bit miffed by that or whatever. But no, it just as the games went on, he just wasn't having the same sort of impact that he had been having last season. But he was back to his absolute best in that Fulham game. I
feel like Bruno's been great for a while now. I think you're being a bit harsh, aren't you? I know he was poor, not poor, but he was off his normal best at the start of the season. But
I
think in this period where we've missed a lot of players, I think he's been stand out, probably one of our best players, hasn't he?
I'd say Joelinton has probably outshined him a little bit more personally, but I mean, fair dues if you think otherwise. Like, it just shows that we've got, great quality in that midfield, and as we've mentioned, Miley as well. And Longstaff's had these moments in this season. So yeah, we're definitely well stocked and players coming into form. But yeah, I just thought maybe it was just because of how much he dictated that Fulham game that it just showed more, or just highlighted it a bit more to me that he hasn't had that sort of game for a long time. But yeah, he bossed it, and like you say, absolutely ridiculous technique in that sort of area of the box to outside of the boot, look for that sort of pass, completely intentional, looking for Burn amongst all those players, and just quality, deserved man of the match, and yeah, it was great to see that he's back to those sort of levels of performance.
And his reaction to Miley's goal as well, he's so happy for him. I'm sure he had tears in his eyes as well.
He did, yeah.
But, that whole game, he just wanted to be on the ball. He wanted to dictate everything, and he was the one who's trying to make something happen. And obviously, you haven't mentioned his assist for Miley's goal yet. I know by the end he almost bundled through, but fuck me, he goes past 3 or 4 players, and that's just close control, his ball at his feet, and then manages to sort of get it through to him, and a clear shot on goal. Absolutely class. When he's in form like that, he's almost unplayable, because that ball for the Dan Burn goal, I don't know how you go about defending it. Genuinely, the keeper can't come for it. As a defender, it's coming behind you, unreal.
No.
And he deserves all the applaud. It's man of the match. I know some people were saying this £100 million clause in his contract for other teams. I don't need to worry because he's not worth that. Fucking, they ate the word straight away. I'm saying people. Pete said it. I'm sure
he's not willing to come on and defend himself either.
It was almost word for word. That £100 million, no one's going to activate that. And then he goes on and pulls out a 10 out of 10 performance. I'll give him shit. He's not going to listen anyways.
Absolutely.
If you are, I'd still give you shit to your face.
Well, yeah, I mean, one more player just before we move on that I wanted to pick up on was Dubravka, because he's had some bad reviews since he's stepped in for Pope. And yeah, I mean, he's not stood out. For me, a lot's been made of it, but it has coincided with some poor defensive performances as well. So I was kind of still giving him the benefit of the doubt and not really being too knee-jerk and saying we need to bring a keeper in. And then against Fulham, I thought he was quite solid. Good with his feet, commanded his box quite well. Obviously, got a clean sheet, so I don't know. What are you guys thinking, especially heading towards January? You happy with him for the rest of the season? Because obviously Pope's missing for a long time.
Yeah, so I again, yeah, you're right. With the Fulham game, didn't look like he did too much wrong. I didn't think he did an awful lot wrong either in the Milan game either, personally. So I know we had given him some stick for the previous 2 games, the Everton and Spurs one, but I think, yeah, I'll eat my words on that one. I was highly critical in saying that he could have been playing in League 2 on those performances. But
need to clip it up after his next clean sheet as well.
Yeah. So I'll eat my words, and yeah, eat some humble pie on that one, because he has been,
improved. About eating on this podcast. Tapas, pie.
I'm starving, mate.
This starving.
So, yeah, I'll say that. Yeah, again, we're taking a very microcosm approach to it, and there's only been 4 games or so that he's been involved in. 4.5 if you include the Man U game. So yeah, there's too early, I think, still to make the call, but see how he gets on in these remaining games of December, and then hopefully he'll take that Fulham form and run with that. But I'm still not sure whether or not we do just cover ourselves with another keeper in the window or not.
That's the thing. It's such a small sample size of games. Like, he's had 2 poor games, and then everyone's calling for his head straight away. Like, he's shown in all the games. To be honest, he's much better than Pope with his feet. Yes, he hasn't been as good with his hands, which is a goalkeeper, which is what you want him for. But we've got 3 more games until January. Like, he's gonna have time to prove his worth. Let's be honest, Karius isn't gonna start any of those games unless Dubravka does get injured. So we've got a few more games just to see what he's like, see if we're happy with him till the end of the season. And then Eddie can make that decision. Like, he's got a month in January to decide whether he wants to go onto the market. But it's a weird one with Pope obviously coming back from injury quite late in the season, because do I really go and buy someone or loan? It's messy. So I think as it stands, I think you've just got to roll with the punches, and Dubravka has proven in the past to be a solid enough keeper. Just give him time. When we've got a solid back 4, we're chopping and changing a back 4 every fucking game. If we had the back 4 that we had last season, like conceding so little goals, like Burn, Botman, Shaw and Trippier, like if they were playing every game, if we had some kind of consistency in that defence, I'm sure he'll be a lot more comfortable as well.
No, totally. And I think the thing that you got to remember as well is if we bring a brand new keeper in from outside the club, like that, what you've just mentioned there, the communication and the understanding of the back 4 in front of you, a complete outsider, expecting them to just immediately come in and just click with everybody in front of them and be able to put in 10 out of 10 performances, even if they're the De Gea's of the world. It's quite a difficult thing. It's easier for an outfield player to do that than it is a goalkeeper to just be able to come in and do that. I know you see lower down the leagues where they have emergency goalkeepers that can sometimes step in and just brought in on very short term deals. That's it, that they are just there to cover 1 or 2 games, and yeah, then they're just moved on. But yeah, if we're expecting someone to come in to do a job for the remainder of the season, and yeah, it wouldn't. It just I don't know. I just don't know if it is right to do unless where Dubravka is just shows that he's not ready or not quite good enough, whatever. And then we're left with just Karius and Gillespie, which, with all due respect to those two, I don't think we should be looking to put a 3rd or 4th choice keeper in. So yeah, Dubravka, if he's keeps this form that he's had over the last 2 games, then I think we should be all right for the remainder of the season with him.
Okay, well, yeah, let's move on to Chelsea then. So, interestingly enough, we've just said there, though, so obviously you don't see anyone else getting in between the sticks. But I just thought, do you think there's any chance at all he gives Karius a look in the cup game just to see what he's got, and then it's a good excuse? Doesn't give Dubravka a knock to his confidence, because it's kind of we'll give the other keeper a chance in the cup.
Obviously, it's an option. There are a lot of teams who play sort of their second keeper in the cup games just to give them a run of games as much as anything else. But it's a big game. It's a game that could put one into a quarter final. Was it semi-final?
Semi-final.
This is the quarter-final.
This is the quarter-final.
Yeah, it's a game that can put one into semi-final with a lot of the big teams already knocked out, mainly by us. So I think risking it, putting another keeper in. Yes, in the Carabao Cup final, he didn't look bad. He didn't look terrible. He didn't look a calamity like people were saying he was going to. But when Dubravka's, again, he's got this chemistry with the players, I just think it's such a big game for, especially being out the Champions League as well. Like, I really want to make a run at this cup now.
And the more games he plays as well, like Dubravka, it's better for him, innit, really, to get him settled into that team. So
you'd think so.
Any players you do expect to come in though? Like, I know we just talked about Kraft, but do you think it's going to be sort of like the same team that you would put out if it was a Premier League game, or do you expect to see anyone from the bench coming in to start?
Well, maybe again just rotation between Isak and Wilson potentially.
Yeah, I could see Isak starting because he wasn't even on the bench for Fulham, was he?
Yeah,
no, it's like they wanted to really make sure they kept them fresh for the cup game.
I think that's where we could see some movement. But yeah, I mean now we've got some options, like, which is great for us to even preview with more players to pick from. So yeah, I can't. But saying that, I can't think of any other notable ones that would step in, like that didn't start the game against Fulham.
So obviously Joe Linton and Cher got them injuries during the game, but Eddie said they're going to have scans, which would have been yesterday. Oh no, today your time. So I think it's probably going to come too soon for both of those. So we're probably going to need somebody to come in for both of those players, but you'd expect Miley would just come in for Joe Linton.
Yeah.
And then Trippier's back as well, isn't he? So Trippier will be right back. So it's who we put centre half if Botman's ready, or because with it being like left sided as well. I know Cher's been playing there. He's right footed, but I don't know how much he'll trust Kraft or Lascelles to play a left sided centre back. So do you think there's a chance we see Dummett come
in? Yeah, I mean he
started Man U, didn't he? So.
He started the Man U game and didn't put a foot wrong. Like, he was absolutely rock solid with Kraft. And yeah, I mean Chelsea, like, they did return to like good form at the weekend. So yeah,
again, it
was Sheffield United. Yeah, fair enough. It was Sheffield United, so I can't get too carried away. But like, yeah, they scored some goals at home, and like, which is they've struggled with. So yeah,
they'll be going for it as well. So they'll have their best team out, you'd imagine.
And yeah, they've obviously got quite a few options, and even the return of Nkunku as well. Maybe he's going to start the game since he's not started a game since he signed for them because of his injury, and he's quite a lively, quick player. So yeah, that'll obviously cause some sort of concerns then as to, we don't want to put somebody in who could easily become a target. But yeah, I don't know.
Target's injured, mate.
Yeah.
To be fair, I just thought we'd probably put Burn centre back and Livermore left back, don't we? So
yeah, Burn and Lascelles centre back, Trippier Livermore full backs. You'd imagine, anyways. But it depends how strong you want to go. Like, if you could well go Kraft right back, but yeah, in the forward positions, we don't really have that many players back still, and with Joe Linton going off, that's a potential rotation on the left.
Yeah.
So it's not like we can shift Gordon to the right. I can't see him putting Isak on the left.
No.
Yeah, and then Wilson starting again. Again, that could be a bit too far. Starting both were fit, well, just about fit strikers in the cup game. But there is a positive, which is Robert Sanchez is injured, so they're playing their sub-keeper, Petrovic. So maybe that's somewhere we can get at. They obviously have injuries. I'm sure they played 4 centre-backs on Saturday against Sheffield United because, again, Reece James went off injured again.
Cucurella's out, isn't he?
Cucurella's out for a few months now. Chilwell's still out for a while. Like, I think Gusto's injured as well. So if they're playing four centre backs again,
in this, then
you'd hope so. Like, well, I'm heading down there, so I'd prefer if it wasn't a 0-0.
Yeah. Nah, it should be a good game. And yeah, I mean, Cole Palmer is like one standout guy to look at. I know he scored quite a lot of goals from penalties this season, but he got one from open play against Sheffield United. And yeah, I thought it was a bit of a shock signing on deadline day for him to leave Man City and actually to see him getting all the minutes that he's been getting at Chelsea as well. He's looking like he could be a real star for them. So I imagine he'll be definitely one for us to look out for as a potential game changer for them. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I think it's got potential to be another great game. Like, and yeah, if we get through this and to have knocked out Man U, to have knocked out Man City, and like to then to potentially be on the cusp of knocking Chelsea out on the way to. I mean, how many times have we seen the Toon being able to do that on a cup run in recent years? Like, everyone who was last season kept saying we were fluky with the teams that we got in the Carabao Cup, like, and that it was an easy way to the final, but we've turned up this year with possibly the hardest of fixtures, and on the cusp of a semi-final again. Like, that's what I predicted. Don't forget, I said we'd get back to the final and we'll win it.
You booked yourself for London then, for Wembley.
Oh, you know yourself.
He's not planning on sleeping after we win it, man. Doesn't he?
No, exactly. Yeah.
My dig's already booked.
You what?
Good lad.
Oh, your digs.
Yeah.
So the other teams left in the competition, we've got Everton playing Fulham, Port Vale, Middlesbrough, Liverpool, West Ham. So
on you Irons.
Yeah,
it's going to be real interesting to see who's left after this round. Like,
I mean, the way Everton are on form, like, and they're pulling away from the relegation zone. They're at home.
Pulling away, they're fucking mid-table, man.
Way higher, but they could be even higher without the points deduction as well. Like, their form is incredible. And
you imagine if we get through this, we're probably getting Liverpool, like, based on the run we've had.
I mean, imagine a Liverpool-Everton semi-final, and then us against Borough.
Oh,
that's a tasty two semi-finals there. Two derbies,
2 legs
like,
as well.
over 2 legs. Like, that could. I mean, no disrespect to Port Vale, because they've obviously got as far as they have, like, on merit. And I mean, Borough, to be fair, have been a bit shaky in Championship form, so Port Vale might fancy their chances at home. But yeah, like, imagine that. Like, that would be great to have a Tyne Tees derby in a semi-final.
Keep those balls up. Get the fix in.
Oh, it's still a long way to go. Obviously, it's gonna be a tight game, but I hope, like, it pays off and, like, you and Peter have a class away trip. You've managed to get a few this year.
You're saying it'll be a tight game. We'll slap them fucking all out at St James's Park. Embarrass them. They were honestly shocking. So, but obviously we know what our away form's like. It's really not the best. However, in the cup,
not in the cups though, is it? It's
been
all right.
No, that's true. Yeah,
well,
we just got
Carabao Cup anyway. I'm just checking Chelsea's home form. I know that, like we're just saying, it's Premier League, but they've definitely been better at home.
Well, they've had some pretty bad results at home as well.
Yeah, we got beat by Brentford at home.
That was a feat. That was a particularly bad game. I watched that one, and they were, again, terrible. So, take a leaf from that book.
It's a weird one with Chelsea, to be fair, because it's like the Jekyll and Hyde a bit this season, aren't they? You can catch them on a bad day and they look good, but yeah, like, do you think the fact we've already played them in the league and we slap them up will play into it? Like, they'll come out really wanting to put that right, especially at their place, or do you think that'll work in our favour and like mentally, especially if we get the first goal, they'll just feel like they've already been beaten?
Well, it's kind of like what you said before in that. Now that we're out of Europe, like might be slightly different had we stayed in Europe. I think there would be more riding on it for Chelsea than there would be for us, just because of how bad their season's been to date, and for Poch it would be a boost to get them through to a final, even if it is the Carabao Cup and they've got higher aspirations. But now that we're out of the cup, Europe, sorry, I think it now realigns our focus more so, like, to get like back to Wembley and right the wrongs of last season. In some ways, I think Chelsea fans might have been hoping that we had got through some form of Europe, just because, I think it might have just awoken something in our team to properly go for this.
So let's do predictions then, in that case. Poch is coming out saying he's looking for his first English silverware, which he's got in my head a little bit. It has made me a little bit more nervous than I was. But saying that, I'm going to go 3-1 to the Toon. So 1-3.
Knowing that this competition goes straight to penalties after 90 minutes. And
don't do that.
I mean, we had to do it last season on the way to the final. We had to win a penalty shootout. And it was at home against Palace. But I think it could be another shootout. I'm going to go 1-1. And Dubravka comes up with the goods. It's if
that does happen, I'm going to clip up your League 2 shout. And then
if anything, I'm just trying to preempt it and
covering your back, aren't you?
Put me in my place, so I'm going to say 1-1 and Toon through on the pens.
We're going to win 2-1 in normal time. I don't get nervous, but it's going to be nervous.
Yeah.
And then so
come out firing.
Can't wait for this game now. I still need to watch Eddie's press conference. So I'm looking forward to watching that this morning. See what he had to say. But yeah, I'm imagining like he obviously doesn't go out without going to win games, so we will be up for it for sure.
His 100th game in management as well for the Toon.
Is it?
100 games.
Well,
that's come fast, hasn't it?
It really has. Thank you. Yeah.
Is that because we're massive your competitions then?
Yeah, because obviously it's been like 2 years almost to the day. Yeah. So it'll be 50 games a season.
Okay.
Plenty of cup games.
Yeah. We shall see what happens in the cup, and then I mean that draw you were saying, that will be fantastic. Like, but gotta get through Chelsea first, and we'll be back facing Luton on Saturday. I think. What time is the kick-off on Saturday? Is it 3 o'clock?
Good old 3 o'clock.
Old-fashioned 3 o'clock kick-off. Yeah.
Very good. And then we host Forest for the Boxing Day fixture, which that should be a good one for everyone, really, shouldn't it? Like
midday.
Forest at home Boxing Day, that'll be good. Good Boxing Day. And we'll be back next episode. We'll be previewing them and hopefully celebrating reaching the semi-final yet again in the Carabao Cup. And Join us in that one. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow the podcast, 5-star reviews, follow us on social media, and we'll catch you in the next one.